Welcome back to another edition of the Oakland Athletics franchise. We have finished up the 2019 season as the Oakland Athletics swept the Chicago Cubs to win the 2019 World Series, and now we are moving on to the 2019 heading into 2020 offseason. And first things first, I would like to say that AJ Pollock won the playoff MVP and the World Series MVP. I could have sworn that I recorded that screen and showed his stats and everything for that, but I couldn't find it at all on the recording, but I could have sworn I did it, and I'm already past that in the actual franchise. I'm up to opening day right now. I'll be probably playing that sometime today, but I just don't have that footage with me. But you guys know that AJ Pollock won the playoff MVP and the World Series MVP. So the first things first is the retirees, and the only one notable for us is Tyler Clippard. He was one of our better relievers, and he is going to be retiring after the year. He was 35 years old. I mean, he's not exactly still the best reliever. He was still an 82 overall. He's beat potential, but he is 35. Didn't really have his best season, so I can understand him retiring there. Albert Pujols was the only Hall of Fame inductee of the Angels. He spent the last 2 seasons playing in Double-A for them, just being an absolute bad player for whatever reason. And Albert Pujols retired with a .308 average, 585 home runs, 1,792 RBI, and 2,818 hits. So did not get 600 home runs, did not get 3,000 hits, so disappointing for Pujols, but he still makes the Hall of Fame nonetheless. Moving on to the next phase, that is the re-sign phase. So the first guy we went out and re-signed was Arodys Vizcaína, one of our better relievers. We got him to a 2-year, $6 million contract, so that's $3 million per year. He's one of our better relievers, and he's going to be back for 2 more seasons. Fernando Rodriguez and Fernando Abad, 2 of our middle relievers. Fernando Rodriguez was a setup guy last year because Clippard kind of fell off. So Rodriguez is getting up there in age, and so is Abad. I let them both walk, so they're going to be heading off to different teams, as well as Liam Hendriks. He's going to be letting walk as well. Then we went out and re-signed Ramon Benitez, our backup catcher, to a 2-year, $1.8 million contract. He'll be backing up Schwarber again as the catcher. Third baseman Brady Slayton, who really shined last season in his rookie season. He's re-signed for 4 years, $11.5 million. He's going to be a stud at the corners for us for many years to come. Andy Burns, a utility guy, just signed to a 1-year, $1 million deal. We traded for him at the deadline from the Blue Jays, and he's just going to be there probably. He might even be in AAA. I'm not really sure. He's just kind of a utility guy to have there on the bench. He's not exactly the best bat, but he can play a bunch of positions. Julio Teheran was a big re-signing. We got him back for 3 years, $32.9 million over 3 years. So Julio Teheran back in the rotation. He's the number 4 starter in our rotation, so still pretty ridiculous as Gray, Newman, and Gausman are all going to be returning. Adrian Castro has been re-signed for 4 years, $7.1 million. So Adrian Castro is back. He spent last year as the middle reliever at the end of the year. He was a starter in AAA for the majority of the season, though, but he did have quite a decent postseason and a good regular season as well in the bullpen for us. And then Eric Pedroza, a potential second baseman / shortstop, can also play third, has been re-signed for 3 years, $4.8 million. So Eric Pedroza is going to be back for us with a few more seasons as well. And now time to move on to the free agency phase. So Chris Davis was definitely the biggest guy we let walk. Chris Davis is not going to be returning to the Oakland Athletics. Disappointing, I know, because he's one of the only players left from the original Oakland A's team, but he's getting up there in years. I did not really want to give him a big contract, and I just kind of felt like it was time to move on from him. He's gotten at least, basically, he's hit around 270 with 30 home runs and 90 RBI. Every season of this franchise from 2016 up to 2019. He's been super consistent, but I feel like there is definitely going to be some guys in free agency this year who can replace him there. And the first guy we wanted to go replace him with was Yasiel Puig. So he was available, and we decided to see if we could sign him, and Yasiel Puig, we offered him a 3-year, $50.6 million contract, which he had full interest in. But the problem was he also had full interest in the deal the Dodgers gave him, and the Dodgers are OP in this game. So Yasiel Puig re-signed for 5 years, $76 million, 5 years, $76 million with the Dodgers, so we did not get him. So instead, we went out and we gave Jose Abreu a mercenary contract. And what I mean by a mercenary contract is we just gave him a one-year deal, and for a decent amount of money, he's going to play for us and then see what happens from there. So Jose Abreu signed a one-year, $13.5 million contract with the Oakland Athletics. He is going to take over that DH job for Chris Davis, who was our DH the past few seasons, like I said. So Jose Abreu, the former Chicago White Sox, is going to be a Oakland Athletic this season, probably hitting cleanup for us, just pretty much just taking everything Chris Davis has a spot. He was the cleanup hitter, he was the DH, and now Jose Abreu is both for us. Well, the Dodgers, they not only re-signed Yasiel Puig, they had an insane offseason, as the Dodgers went out and they got Paul Goldschmidt. They gave him a 4-year, $115.1 million contract, but they didn't stop there. They gave Jose Altuve a 7-year, $186.6 million contract, but they weren't done just yet, and they went out and signed Hunter Pence, who's 36 years old, but he's still an 89 overall and still a darn good outfielder. They gave him a 1-year, $9.1 million contract. So the Dodgers just went all out this offseason, and they signed everybody good. So the Los Angeles Dodgers, just being the Los Angeles Dodgers, signed everybody. They got Goldie, Altuve, and Pence. And in the past few seasons, we've never really had a lefty starter, and I feel like there was 2 lefty starters who I wanted to keep my eye on in the offseason this year, and that was Jaime Garcia of the St. Louis Cardinals, who 3 out of the 4 years of this franchise, he's had a sub-3 ERA. 1 year he had like a 3.6 ERA or something like that, and like a 1.3 whip. But most of the time he has a sub-3 ERA and basically a 1 whip, not anything higher, not even a 1.1, just a 1 whip. And so I felt like he was a guy we should keep our eye on as a lefty to be our 5th starter. But there was also Hyun-Jin Ryu, who 3 of the 4 years as well has had a sub-3 ERA for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He just did not pitch in 2016, so he did not have any stats from that season. And I decided to go with Hyun-Jin Ryu. So Hyun-Jin Ryu, 1 year, $7.2 million contract. So Hyun-Jin Ryu is going to be our 5th starter, and you'll see later on this episode what we do with Rafael Montero, as he was our current 5th starter in the 2019 season. I felt like we also needed to pick up a solid 4th outfielder, or at least a guy who could play one side. He could bat against one side, and he could basically play all different positions. And I feel like that guy, there was a couple options. Jacoby Ellsbury was probably a bit unrealistic of an option. He's 36 years old, though, and he can't hit versus left-handed pitching anymore, but he can hit versus righties. He can still run, he can still field. I wasn't really too big of a fan of getting him, though, because he only wanted a 1 year, like, $3 million contract, but I did not want to sign Jacoby Ellsbury to be a bench player. Billy Burns, who we traded to the Cubs last year with Stephen Vogt and a AAA starting pitcher, who I forget his name, to the Cubs for Kyle Schwarber, and they just did not want Stephen Vogt or Billy Burns anymore because they did not re-sign either of them. So Billy Burns, he had a pretty good year last year. He had 286 with 50 RBI in 120 games, but they did not want him back, and I decided not to bring him back either. Aaron Hicks was another guy I was looking at, who in real life I absolutely despise, but in this game I thought, hey, his attributes aren't looking too bad, I could do something with that. And then I saw his stats the past few seasons, as basically the past 3 seasons he's anywhere from 220 to 240. Wasn't exactly a big fan of that. Hasn't really ever done anything in this franchise, so I figured I wouldn't want him. And plus, I don't like him in real life, so I probably would have hit him in the game. And then Juan Lagares was the final guy I looked at, and I decided to give him the contract. Juan Lagares, he's insane defensively. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He has decent contact versus both sides. Better against lefties, obviously, but it's still better. It's still decent contact versus both sides. He hit well in 2016 and 2017, but he kind of fell off in 2018 and 2019 as he hit 225 in 2018 and 205 in 2019. But I feel like he might be able to turn that thing around, especially if he's not starting every day and he's just kind of being the 4th outfielder, maybe in a platoon against lefties or something like that, because Andino can't really hit against lefties, so we could have Lagares play center field against lefties or something like that. We'll see, but we gave him a 1 year, $4.5 million contract, so Juan Lagares is going to be an Oakland Athletic. He's one of the 3 guys this offseason we gave 1 year deals to. And then in the Rule 5 draft, usually there's not too many decent guys in the Rule 5 draft. There's usually just a bunch of C potential guys, or maybe like some high B potential guys, but they're like 62 overalls and not really worth getting in the Rule 5 draft. This year, that was different. The Tampa Bay Rays had Jose Mujica, who is a right-handed pitcher. He's listed as a starter. He's in the AAA, Durham Bulls, and he's 75 overall, beat potential, and he's only 23 years old. So we drafted him in the Rule 5 draft. He's going to be in the bullpen this season, as there's no room for him in the rotation, and he's going to be in our bullpen. So Jose Mujica is going to be either probably be a middle reliever, because I don't like putting people as a long reliever, because then they get like no action at all, and it just kind of stunts their development and stunts their stats. So Jose Mujica is going to be in our bullpen this season, as he's a Rule 5 draftee. But then before we move on to going over our rotation and all that stuff, we made a couple trades. Richie Martin, who is the shortstop who I did a prospect profile on, has been kind of just shoved down in that shortstop depth chart the past few seasons. Never really gotten a chance, and he's 25 years old, beat potential. He still has room to grow if somebody gives him a chance, but he wasn't going to get his chance here. So Richie Martin has been traded to the Miami Marlins, where he will actually be their starting shortstop, because right now they have Nick Ahmed as their starting shortstop. And Richie Martin's better than Nick Ahmed. So he'll be starting at shortstop for them. We got Avery Romero in return, who's just a C potential, decent contact guy. He's a pretty good contact guy. He can play second and third. He's going to platoon for us, probably play against left-handed pitching, considering he has great contact versus left-handed pitching. But that was the trade, Richie Martin for Avery Romero. And then, like I said, we were going to do something with Rafael Montero, and that we did. We traded Rafael Montero to the San Francisco Giants in return for Hunter Strickland. We lost Clippard, we lost Rodriguez, and we lost the bot in the offseason, so I felt like we needed to improve upon something in the bullpen, and decent 4th, 5th starters, or solid 4th, 5th starters like Montero are definitely a lot more valuable than just a above-average reliever like Strickland. You can make the point that he's better than above average, but he's not an Andrew Miller, he's not a Dylan Betances. He's not a whole Yankees situation like they had at the depth chart, like they had at the trade deadline this year, where you could get like top prospects for him. He's just a good reliever who you could easily replace with pretty much anybody. So Hunter Strickland is going to be a Oakland Athletic this year, as we traded for him, and Montero is going to be their 4th or 5th starter, because their 4th or 5th starters are pretty weak. And then Strickland is going to be a right-handed setup guy, with a left-handed setup guy is going to be Alex Torres. So as far as what our rotation, bullpen, and lineups are looking like, our rotation 1 to 5 goes Sonny Gray, J.R. Newman, Kevin Gausman, Julio Teheran, and then Hyun-Jin Ryu, the one lefty in the rotation. The bullpen is 4 middle relievers in Chris Hatcher, Jairo Diaz, Jose Mujica, and Arodys Vizcaíno. The setup men are Alex Torres, Hunter Strickland, and the closer is Tony Watson. Adrian Castro is going to be starting his season down in AAA, as we didn't really have much room for him, as we could send down either Hatcher, Diaz. They're probably going to be sent down depending on how they play. If they perform well, they're going to stay up. If they don't perform well, they're going to get sent down, and Castro will take their spot in the bullpen. But as of right now, this is what we're rolling with in the bullpen to start the season. The lineup versus right-handed pitching is second baseman leading off Jose Miguel Fernandez, followed by left fielder Yangervis Solarte, center fielder AJ Pollock, DH Jose Abreu, the Cuban cigar. Catching is Kyle Schwarber, hitting 5th. Hitting 6th and playing 1st is Matt Olson. Then 7th and playing 3rd is Brady Slayton. 8th and playing right is Sean Andino. And then the shortstop who ran things out is Eric Pedroza. And then against left-handed pitching, this is where things get mixed up. Second baseman Avery Romero will lead things off with his solid contact, followed by right fielder Yangervis Solarte. He shifts over from left to right. And then left fielder is AJ Pollock. So DH is Jose Abreu hitting cleanup. 5th hitter is catcher Kyle Schwarber. 6th is first baseman Matt Olson. 7th is third baseman Brady Slayton. 8th is shortstop Jose Miguel Fernandez. And then the 9 hitter is Juan Lagares, who's playing against lefties as the starting center fielder, which is why Pollock shifts over to left, because Lagares is absolutely insane in center field. Now, with that being said, that is going to wrap things up here for this offseason video, as we are now moving into the 2020 season. The next episode you will see is Opening Day 2020 against the Cincinnati Reds here at home in Oakland. It'll be Sonny Gray for us against Raciel Iglesias for the Reds. So I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.
Giambi lenses, Ken Caminiti, Bosworth. Been on the honor roll, sculptures of my body out in Nagano. My shorty features like Madonna, low designer. Bending these young Lola Falanas over Ace of Test. Base the breast with the juices. Under the influence of fly shit, I glide like Ovechkin. Discus hoodie, puff hibiscus, balance be the crispest.